Hi everybody, Chris from the Headache and Pain Management Centre here, and today we are talking about an interesting subject, actually something that's very close to my heart, and that is joint hypermobility. So you might have been told by your doctor, your physio, chiropractor perhaps, that you are hypermobile, but what does it mean? And what are you able to do to help things out if you do have some symptoms that are being caused by your hypermobility? If you are joining us, type in below, say hello. There's a couple joining here, good afternoon. And basically, have some questions ready because this is a topic that is very close to my heart, given I am someone who is hypermobile, believe it or not. So it's probably why I became a physio actually, but yes. So hypermobility, so look, everyone's made of different stuff, okay? So some people have stretchier skin than others, some people have more flexible joints than others, some people can touch their toes with their hands, other people can struggle to touch their knees. And all of these things are all realms and within normal ranges. So everyone is different and normal is different for everybody. So it's really important to sort of understand that from the outset, that this may or may not apply to you depending on what the symptoms that you have. Now, hypermobility is basically, categorized by having more flexible joints than the average person. The way that they diagnose this clinically, and basically saying that you're on a hypermobility spectrum, as it were, is are you able to do, it's a 9-point score, okay, so are you able to bend your thumb right back, so like that, so you can see it goes right the way back towards my wrist. Are you able to lock your elbows right into hyperextension? So it's like overly strength. Hello, there's now, more people joining in. G'day, nice to see you there. So locking your elbows out straight, locking your knees out beyond straight, so into hyperextension. Also bending your index finger, your little finger back towards your hand past the 90 degrees. And also touching your toes with your palms, pretty much. So touching the floor with your palms. So that's, what's called the Baton score. That tells us if you get over 5 out of 9 in that score, then basically that's one part. And then also a history of joint dislocations and subluxations. So basically your joints, say your shoulders, sliding in and out a little bit too much. Maybe dislocation, which was atraumatic or perhaps even traumatic. A lot of these people with hypermobility seem to have other genetic factors as well. Blonde hair, blue eyes, very pale skin, redheads as well are more likely to have this. So, there's a few things that we look for to see if hypermobility is relevant to the condition that you're suffering with. So it's something that we always keep an eye out for. Now, when you're hypermobile, basically what this means is that you've got more movement than the average, and basically there's a few habits that hypermobile people have in regards to their movement. So this is you, it might tick a few boxes and it might answer a few questions for you because I wasn't diagnosed until I was about 20, how old was I? 22, 23, and I'd had pains and all sorts of really weird things going on with my body, which I will share with you one day, which didn't make much sense until I actually put all the pieces together. So when you're hypermobile, basically you really like certain positions more than others, okay? So you see hypermobile people, people with lower tone, they like to slouch, okay? So they really slouch forward in the chair, kind of like that. You probably can't see me, but right forward like this, okay? So they're either slouchy or they're right out like this, okay? So they need to be either right up into a ball or right out into kind of full extension. So these people, they like to sleep curled up in a ball or they sleep as if they're the only ones on the bed. So often partners don't like that too much because they're sort of sprawled out like starfish. So that's the first point. The second one, a lot of hypermobile people are very clumsy, okay? They find it certainly during adolescence in particular, they go, like adolescents are a little bit clumsy anyway as they're sort of growing into their bodies, but more clumsy than normal. So they slam doors and don't realise that they've actually pushed the door too hard, fridges and things like that. Knocking pictures off the wall. They're often very scared to go into a shop with very expensive like plates and jewels and things in there, stuff that can be knocked over. Skinny aisles are not really the friends of anyone who are hypermobile. Also, people that are hypermobile, they really like to stretch. They really like to go to yoga. They really like to, they often find themselves in things like gymnastics or dancing because they really like to stretch out. But they really hate doing strength work. So they really hate lifting things. Because lifting things for these people are often very hard. It takes a lot more energy than normal. So these are sorts of traits that you can find with people that have what they call generalized joint hypermobility. And its cousin, if you like, its sort of evil cousin is called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which some of you may have heard of previously as well. They're all basically cut from the same cloth. They're all an issue with the way the tissues in your body are actually built in order to build you, okay, so your skin, your nails, and your joint surfaces. What also can happen with people that are hypermobile is that you can get some systemic things as well, which may not have been picked up before. So basically, because you are made of different stuff or more stretchy stuff, there's a little bit more, if you like, a little less elasticity. So for example, your blood vessels might not be as tight as the next person. So often these people get dizzy getting out of chairs. They get up quickly and they kind of go to be dizzy and they lose sight. They have to hold on to something, otherwise they fall over. That can also happen as well. And this is another condition which comes into it, which can be called dysautonomia, which some of you may have heard of as well, which is another video on its own. So all of these different symptoms can come into the equation. Now, this might all sound very bad, but in fact, having hypermobility is actually a genetic advantage if you know how to take advantage of it. So I think it's something like the statistics say, from what I can remember, it was about 15% of people that are on the hypermobility in general, but 40% of elite sports stars are hypermobile, especially swimmers. Swimmers, it's an even higher rate. Now, why might that be? The reason why is because when you have hypermobility, you can move more, okay? So if you're doing backstroke, for example, you've actually got more range in the shoulder to be able to sort of stretch back and stroke around. So that's one thing. Also, people with hypermobility have got a better advantage because you can actually strengthen more range. So you can actually get stronger through more range, which gives you a competitive advantage. So here's the kicker. People that are hypermobile, what happens with them is they really like what we call the end of range. So either, curl up in a ball or outstretched. And you can see that my fingers sort of bend back like that, and that's why I'm hypermobile. They actually really don't like what we call mid-range, which is sort of, holding a squat in mid-range. So, for example, they can bend down to the floor and have their bum to the floor, or they can be absolutely upright and it's fine. But if they're halfway, it's really, really difficult, and this can get really, really nasty. So, when, for example, people are, gardening, for example, this is a good example of that, where they're bending forward but not all the way, and they get this really sore back afterwards because their muscles have to work really, really hard to stabilize them, to actually hold them upright. Stabilize is the wrong word, but actually hold them upright, because these people like to slouch or be upright, like way upright, but not halfway. So it needs to be a little bit stronger in order to get that to happen. So when it comes to hypermobile patients, what we often find is that we need to get them strong, okay? Strength is the friend of the hypermobile person, even if they don't like doing it, because it is a little bit hard to do. So getting them strong through the whole range of the joint movements. So, from flexion all the way out to extension with all the joints. So it's a generalized strengthening program that really helps people with generalized joint hypermobility. And it's not even, you don't need to be too, how can I put this? You don't need to be too sort of fancy with the exercise program that you need. Basically, it's just all the basic core movements like squatting correctly, maybe some deadlifting if the back is fine, if it's not stirring that up. The Med-X machine, which the door's closed. The Med-X machine is awesome for people with low pain that have hypermobility because their joints move around a lot, but it's the only thing that actually strengthens those back muscles really, really well. What we find actually a lot is people with migraine get hypermobiles. Actually, I would say that there are more people that are hypermobile body types that have migraine than other types of people. Like it's disproportionate. That's what I'm looking for. There's disproportionately more hypermobile people with migraine. And I think the reason why that is because the neck is moving a lot. Okay, so the top joint of the neck moves a lot. You can actually see here. It is. So there's the neck there. So the top joint up through here at C1, C2, right at the very top there, it's actually a turner. So it turns a lot. And if you've got a lot of movement there, your brain's kind of going, oh, there's a fair bit of movement there, so we better use the muscles to make sure that we don't go past where we need to go, because yeah, you don't want to sort of hurt yourself doing that. So it's my opinion that basically what happens with migraine people with with hypermobility is that the muscles around the top of the neck actually tighten up to protect you from too much movement. Okay, now we need to teach the brain that it's actually okay to turn. It's all pretty good. Often we find there's a bit of a false negative here with people with hypermobility and migraine, because when we get them to turn their neck, they turn like me, like all the way to 90 degrees. But for me, that's actually stiff. I'm usually able to turn a little bit further than that because my neck's actually a bit tight. Now, it looks normal and it can get missed, but if your normal is actually past normal because you're hypermobile, then you need to pick that up. So when it comes to joint hypermobility, it's actually getting the muscles strong and long, and also getting what we call the joint position sense all sorted out too. If you are with me, I can see a few there. Type in some questions below, say hello. Yes, if there's any questions that are there. So basically with hypermobile people too, because I've got a lot of movement and basically the joint surfaces aren't as close as a regular person. So I'm going to try this here to see if we can do that. So there we go. So if we pretend that this is a shoulder, okay, people that are not hypermobile actually have a bit of contact between the ball and socket, their brain where it is in space, but hypermobile people have a little bit more space like that. So when they're in end range, they can actually see that the joint surface is on there in end range. They're in end range, but in the mid range, there's no contact. So the brain gets a little bit freaked out to say, hey, where's my shoulder? And what can happen is it can cause some pain, or it can cause a bit of discomfort around the shoulder, a bit of apprehension, especially when you are moving. So basically strength is the big one, and also joint position sense is the other one, because it's all teaching your brain about where it is in space. And I've rabbited on, I know I've rabbited on today about hypermobility, and it's something that that's one of my special subjects actually. I really like treating patients that are hypermobile, because a lot of people have no idea that this is a thing, and it suddenly makes a whole lot of sense as to why their shoulders keep popping out, or why they have tendinitises all over their knees and their Achilles and their hips, why their backs are always sore even though they can touch the floor, why some days they can touch the floor and other days they're locked up and they can't move. And it's generally because their brains are going, whoa, where are we in space? And it locks up as sort of a warning shot from there. So if you do have, if you are double jointed or a bit stretchy through the joints, that I'll just do this here once again. So if we've got the finger like bending right the way back, sort of like that would be a good example, or thumbs down towards the wrists, that will tell us that that is where that's something perhaps needs to be considered with your hypermobility. So yeah, get that checked out. Have a talk to your physio, have a talk to your chiro, your doctor, to see if that's an issue, and get a strength program, because strength is going to be the best thing for it. And if the strength program isn't working, then we need to do some more things to desensitize your system before we get strong. Hey, hope that was interesting. It was just a question that came through on the messenger earlier today. And for you, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Melissa. So thank you to Melissa for that question. And yes, I hope that answers that for you. If there are any other questions, please type in below. It's been good joining once again. Like, share, comment, tag in the comments. And yes, I'm more than happy, as you know, to answer those questions for you. It's good joining you, and thank you for everyone who stayed on for the entire live video today. And I will talk to you again soon with another live video. Cheers. Bye for now.